Hello, world, and we're back once again. Um, Officially calling this um, YouTube channel slash vlog Read Your Thoughts. That's kind of what I'm taking the channel name as right now. I think it fits pretty well. We're reading, telling our thoughts out loud, reading our thoughts. So let's get into it again. So from last time, pretty long episode, talking about a lot of the self-awareness, a lot of the language that we use, things of that nature. If you haven't checked it out yet, I suggest it. Just keep it in order. For this episode, though, just ended up reading the end of the chapter here. So basically only two sections to go over. There is a third, but it's kind of a application or like a challenge that they kind of give out to you to try out. But so for these two sections that I ended up reading, they involve consequences, mistakes, and commitments. So for what they're saying is that you're free to basically choose your own actions, and when you are proactive or even reactive, you still have to deal with the consequences of those actions, and those are basically, they're out of your control because they naturally come along with whatever you're doing. So the saying is, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So basically they're talking about how consequences are the reaction to whatever action we take. And so for me, obviously, that can either be good or bad, depending on what you're doing. I like to believe, basically believe in karma. So, if you do something good, you expect something good to eventually happen back to you. And if you do something bad will eventually happen to you, or it will happen to you, immediately, depending on what it is. So but you can obviously think about what are the possible consequences that can occur depending on, what you're doing. If so for a small example, if you give somebody $1, you might get some good news, or you might, who knows the consequence of, or the consequence of that dollar, giving that away. You could just be, you just lose $1 now, or you could find $1 later on the ground or more, whatever it might be. So yeah, that was it's kind of cool or interesting to think about, because a lot of people, we always think about, we rarely think about the consequences that occur from our actions, depending on what you're actually thinking about in the moment. Most of the time, you're really not going to think about the consequence. You're just going to think about what you think is right at the time. And that can lead to mistakes. So basically, mistakes are, consequences or actions with consequences that we did not foresee. And, we wish we could take it back, but we can't. So there's nothing you could do about it. It's outside of your circle of influence. It's outside of something that you can actually change. And the best thing that you can actually do is, when you do make a mistake, is to basically identify it right away, and identify it, look at it closely, accept that it happened, and then basically do better next time. So that way, because they say that, if you let this mistake go, if you don't do anything about it, if you don't correct it, or admit that it was a mistake, it kind of takes power over you, and it sits in your mind a lot longer, and you'll recall on that mistake a lot more. So, what you need to do is definitely identify it, accept it, and then look to correct it, because that basically empowers you again. And it can be, difficult at times for you to, immediately try to accept that, especially, because certain things you probably wouldn't want to, or it, might not seem like a mistake at the time. So it can be difficult to, right after it happens, it can be difficult to look at it as a mistake. It might be a couple years down the road, a couple months, days, whatever, that, you think about it and you say, okay, that definitely was a mistake. But you have to accept that it was a mistake. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I know that for me, there's certain things that, I would think are mistakes in my life that I've made. But, there's nothing you can do about it. The best thing you can do is, live with what the consequences of that, and then figure out how to basically put your life back on track, or, work with what you have, and, try to establish yourself from there, basically. So for after that, they say making and keeping commitments is a very big. It's basically the whole center of your circle of influence of things that you can actually do for yourself. So that's I don't know right now if I would consider that like the main thing for what you can do to control your circle of influence. But basically they're saying, if you keep a commitment or a promise to yourself, and you say, I'm gonna do this, and then, if you follow through with it, you have that sense of fulfillment, and you have that sense of, accomplishment, that you've done something, and then that basically boosts, your confidence level, your self-esteem, whatever it might be. And that helps you basically continue to build on that until you're, so you might start small and then continue to build up to bigger and bigger things within that. And so that way you can actually expand your circle of influence as well. But you also have to be self-aware about it as well. You have to basically be consistently thinking about it, or else it'll slowly fade, and it definitely won't be as impactful when you do finish it. If it's still fresh in your mind, and it's still, you have it like either wrote down somewhere, and you see it every day, and that's, you have a goal set, or a promise that you keep, and you have that with you at all times. Basically it makes for, basically what they're saying is that it develops better effectiveness within your life, which I can, it definitely see, because if you're able to follow through with something, then that just builds your foundation of, you will, as long as you continue to do it, you'll just get better at just completing tasks completely. So I think that's definitely one of my issues for myself. Like, I know, like, little things at least. I watch. So I've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender recently, and I like basically binge watched the whole series, but I haven't finished the very last episode. So that's one thing that even though it's trivial, it's something small. You still haven't completed it. Another thing would be that I was listening to the Harry Potter audiobooks, and basically almost got totally finished, and only need like a couple more chapters of the very last book to finish the entire thing again, and I haven't done it, dropped it off. So things like that. If you're reading a book series, I know I've done that as well, where you read hard and very, very, you get yourself fully involved into the first couple books, and then you kind of fade away from it, or it drops off. Other things come into your life that you thought you couldn't control, or that you let come into your life, and you stop reading the book, and then a couple years later you pick it back up, and you don't know where you're at, so you have to start all over again. And I think that's one of the big issues, is that if you don't do it from start to finish, you basically have to restart what you're doing, depending on what it is. But like that would be my take on it. Like, that's how I would think about it, is that I would feel like I have to start over if I didn't totally finish it. So yeah, that's how I would think about it. Let me know what you guys think, and what you think about what I've explained today, and we'll be back tomorrow. I know I didn't do one yesterday, but we got this one in today. We should end up doing another one tomorrow, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks.